Reading what day?
Friday, the 2nd of February.
Friday, the 2nd of February. Kit Malthouse.
Mr Deputy Speaker, I beg to move that leave be given to bring in a bill to make provision about speeding offences on roads to which a 20-mile-an-hour limit applies, to make provision about the enforcement of moving traffic offences, to require 24-hour staffing on works on specified public roads, and for connected purposes. As I'm sure you're aware, Mr Deputy Speaker, life as a motorist has changed very significantly over the last 2 decades. Cars have become safer, more efficient, greener and quieter. And yet, despite the fact that the motor car is possibly one of the greatest contributors to human wealth, happiness and freedom, it has become seen by many as the root of all evil. Despite the enormous benefits that cars bring to our constituents, families up and down the land and indeed across the world, for many motorists, the world seems to be filled with councillors and officials dedicated to making their lives more difficult. Driving is becoming a minefield of potential traps and penalties, such that drivers are becoming paranoid and resentful about the entire system. When this happens, order tends to break down, and time, I believe, has come for a rebalancing. In this bill, therefore, Mr Deputy Speaker, I propose 3 modest measures which will achieve a better balance and I hope see better results generally for motorists and members of our communities across the board. First of all, I propose that anybody caught speeding between 20 miles an hour and 30 miles an hour does not receive penalty points. Rather, they would be required to attend a speed awareness course, and repeat offences would require repeat attendance at speed awareness courses. And I should declare an interest, having been myself at a speed awareness course recently, caught doing 24 miles an hour on the embankment unwittingly, along with the Archbishop of Canterbury. Not at the same time or in the same vehicle, but he was also done for a similar offence. Now, Mr Deputy Speaker, the rollout of 20-mile-an-hour speed limits across the country has brought benefits in terms of road safety, but it has left many thousands of drivers disproportionately punished for straying over the limit. That you can receive 3 penalty points for doing 24 miles an hour in a 20-mile-an-hour zone and for doing 57 miles an hour in a 50-mile-an-hour zone seems unfair to many and is in danger of discrediting the system. In addition to penalty points and a fine, drivers so punished will also face higher insurance premiums at a time when premiums are rising significantly in any event. As it stands, it's possible to lose your driving licence by driving at 24 miles an hour 4 times in 3 years. 2 years ago, it was revealed that as 20 miles an hour rolled out across London, Transport for London was setting a target of 1 million speeding fines a year with the Met Police. This represents a huge increase in prosecutions and the accumulation of points. Analysis of DFT data by claims.co.uk confirms that of those speeding in a 20-mile-an-hour zone, 49% were exceeding the limit by 5 miles an hour or more, only 19% were driving above 30 miles an hour, and these numbers, of course, imply that 51% of those caught speeding were doing less than 25 miles an hour. In evaluations, Mr Deputy Speaker, speed awareness courses have proven to be significantly more effective in preventing reoffending than penalty points and a fine. If our objective is to improve road safety, particularly on residential roads, then it would be more effective to put people through repeated courses, perhaps with increasing intensity and time required. This would be a more proportionate approach and achieve better road safety. Points, of course, would still apply for those who fail to attend courses or indeed who fail their courses, which I understand is a possibility. The second element of the bill, Mr Deputy Speaker, is for non-speeding traffic offences enforced by a local council or body other than the police. A first offence in these circumstances, in my view, at a particular location, should result in a warning letter rather than a fine. A subsequent offence at the same location would attract a fine in the normal manner. Now, over the last few years, we've seen a significant increase in the number of traffic enforcement cameras operated by local authorities. In London alone, over nearly 3.2 million tickets were issued in 22-23, extracting something like £200 million from motorists. The number of councils approved by the government to operate enforcement this way has increased steadily. There are regular reports in the media of the earnings of particular cameras. The most successful in Birmingham pulls in apparently £10,000 a day from drivers straying into a bus lane. A number of councils who have introduced enforcement cameras have started with a grace period, during which erring drivers have been issued with a warning letter for their first offence at a particular location, recognising that a sudden change may not be immediately appreciated by many. In Liverpool, the city of my birth, when cameras were brought in at one particular location. 1,400 drivers were caught out within the first 24 hours. Happily, they all received a warning letter first. This is a good and civilised principle and maintains public support for the enforcement system. It recognises that the vast majority of drivers will have made a genuine error, will learn their lesson and won't make the same mistake again. This very British sense of giving people the benefit of the doubt should continue, and this bill would make it a permanent feature. Anyone who commits a moving traffic offence, caught in the yellow box, stray in a bus lane, turn left when you shouldn't, enforced by a local authority with a camera for the first time at a particular location, would only receive a warning letter. Subsequent offences at the same location would attract a fine in the normal manner. And finally, Mr Deputy Speaker, the third element of my bill is that it says that any roadworks on an A road should not be left unattended at any time. Now, the government, as we all know as members of Parliament travelling around our constituencies and to and from London, has struggled to control and minimise disruptive roadworks. Anyone who drives in any major city, in fact, will tell you that unannounced roadworks with poor traffic management and inconsiderate positioning is a source of huge delay and aggravation. Even more so when those works are seemingly abandoned and lifeless, sometimes for days. Even in the last few days, Hyde Park Corner, one of the busiest junctions in the capital, has been beset with works and temporary traffic lights with not a soul in sight after 5 p.m. There is at the moment a polite government consultation out at the moment on increasing fines and tinkering a bit with the current system. My right honourable friend, the member for Rayleigh and Wickford, introduced the 10-minute rule bill last year with imaginative and more radical measures to address the same problem. His Can the Cones campaign hit the mark with many. But my proposal, Mr Deputy Speaker, is simpler and would simply require contractors to ensure that no roadworks on any A road can ever be left unattended. Someone must always be on hand to deal with problems, speak to the public, alert authorities of traffic issues and generally manage the site. This obligation would also provide a powerful incentive for the works to be completed swiftly, and the duty could be satisfied by having at least one person always working on the site. A very efficient use of resources, and one which would show the public that contractors are being as diligent as possible and that works are being completed as swiftly as possible. Above all, motorists would know that their safe and smooth passage through the works was being supervised at all times. Mr Deputy Speaker, I hope that these three simple measures would improve all our lives with greater road safety, a greater sense of proportion and civilisation, if you like, in the enforcement of non-speeding traffic offences, and less aggravation for motorists going through abandoned streetworks.
The question is that the right honourable gentleman have leave to bring in his bill. As many of that opinion say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. The ayes have it. Who will prepare and bring in the bill?
Royston Smith, Will Quince, Nicky Aitken, Sir Desmond Swain, Philip Davis, Mark Menzies, Shailesh Vara, Julie Marson, Steve Tuckwell and myself, sir.
Kit Malthouse.
Road Traffic and Street Works Bill.
Second reading what day?
Friday, the 19th of April.
Friday, the 19th of April. Point of order.
Very briefly, the Right Honourable Gentleman for North Hampshire kindly mentioned that I brought in a similar bill, or at least on the same subject, last year. I'd like to commend him for what he's done. Just wanted to put on the record that the Roads Minister was here to listen. And perhaps if the Right Honourable Gentleman for North Hampshire or I, between us, put in for an adjournment debate to give the Roads Minister an opportunity to reply on this subject, perhaps the Chair might be prepared in due course to look favourably on such a request.
And the right honourable gentleman has been here long enough to know how to apply for a German debate. However, it's just possible that he might find favour with Mr. Speaker, as he would probably find favour with me on this subject. Other than that, I don't think it's a matter for the Chair. We now come to the motion relating to the Northern Ireland Executive Formation Bill, Business of the House. Minister to move.
I beg to move.
The question is, as on the order paper. As many of that opinion say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, no. The ayes have it. Amendments of the... amendments, I beg your pardon. Amendments, new clauses, new schedules for Committee of the Whole House may now be tabled by members at the opposition side of the table of the House. I understand that the Chairman of Ways and Means has indicated that she will make provisional selection, as I said earlier, of all those amendments tabled at or soon after 2 p.m. If any amendments are tabled and then selected by the Chairman of Ways and Means, an amendment paper for the Committee of the Whole House will be circulated as soon as possible. There we go now.